Hello! I am back with another favourites video, and this one we're talking favourite side characters, which I thought would be fun. It's a little bit different. Side characters don't usually get a lot of limelight, and some of these I really love. So I've actually picked 10 because I'm not going to take long to talk about each of these because usually they're not in it very much, unfortunately. But we are going to kick it off with Valek from the Chronicles of Ixia by Maria V. Schneider. Now this is arguably one of my favourite series of all time, and Valek is one of the main reasons why. Although he's a side character, he is actually in the story quite a lot, and he does take on quite a big role. He is the right-hand man to Commander Ambrose, who is in charge of the nation of Ixia, and he's also a fairly dangerous and reputable assassin, and he is just a fascinating character. He's very deep. We get some of his backstory later in the series, which I absolutely loved. He's just great. He's very thoughtful and insightful and dangerous, but also incredibly fair, and he treats our protagonist Yelena very well, despite the fact that at the outset of this series she is in prison for murder and awaiting execution. I just love Valek. That's all there is to it. Next, we're talking Ahmed the Snake from Rhapsody, or actually from the Symphony of Ages series by Elizabeth Hayden. We are introduced to Ahmed in this book, but he does stay a pretty prevalent character throughout, but he's not our protagonist. Rhapsody is our protagonist. But I also really enjoy Ahmed. He is also an assassin, so we're sensing a theme here, but I'm not only talking about assassins in this video, don't worry. But he is an assassin. He is very dark and brooding and not very open with his feelings, and he gives off the sense of danger, where Valek kind of lulls people into a sense of security. Ahmed doesn't bother with any of that. He is quite happy to let people fear him, and he uses that, and he has a pretty interesting magic system all of his own. He is out there in the world by himself, separated from the rest of his kind, and he's just a fascinating character who we only scratch the surface of in this first book, and we learn more about him as the series goes on as well. But despite that gruff exterior, he is a fierce and loyal friend, and he's the kind of person that you want to have on your side, because if he's not, he's pretty deadly. Next up, we have a very quick mention, and it's Doomslug from Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. If you've read this book, you know who I mean. If you haven't read this book, I'm not going to get into it, but do read it because it's great. Doomslug is just fun and funny and cute, and he just adds that little touch of humour that this story needed, because without the odd touch of humour throughout this one, it would be pretty bleak, and Doomslug adds a little bit of levity to the situation, which I personally really enjoyed. This next one is kind of cheating because arguably he's the main character, but not really. Panther Lyman from His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. Our protagonist is Lyra Balakwa, and Panther Lyman is her demon. So he is with her throughout everything, which is why you could argue that he's a protagonist, but he's not, because the story is never told from his perspective, albeit that he is a half of Lyra. He's the external expression of her soul. But nevertheless, I'm including him on this list because he doesn't really take on a protagonist role, but he does counsel Lyra throughout the books. He is always there for her. He's always compassionate. Sometimes things annoy him, but he's still always there for her, and he is a shoulder for her to cry on, and he is a confidant, and the relationship between Lyra and Panther Lyman really endears him because he is so, I mean, he has to be loyal to her because, you know, he's her soul, but he is also incredibly loyal to her. He's almost her complete opposite in some ways, because she is so outwardly bold and he is so outwardly cautious, but he is internally very brave and she is internally very cautious. So they complement each other perfectly, and I think that he is a really underappreciated character, which is why I decided to put him on this list. Next up we have Calcifer from Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and I mentioned in my Magic Systems video that the main reason I love this story is from the film, the Studio Ghibli film, which I discovered long before I realised this was even a book, and because of how near and dear that film is to my heart, the book isn't as good in my opinion, but that's just me. Either way though, I really enjoy the character of Calcifer. He is a fire demon, and I'm not going to get too much into his backstory because I don't want to give spoilers to anybody who hasn't read the book or seen the film, but Calcifer is just very witty in a dry sort of way, which really matches up with my sense of humour really well. He's very blunt and energetic, but also very attention-seeking and needy in a way, and it just makes for a really amusing combination of character traits which I really enjoy and find very comforting and fun, and I really enjoy any time that is spent with Calcifer either on the page or on the screen. Next up we have two side characters from the original First Era Mistborn trilogy. One of these is potentially underappreciated and one of them potentially not. But I'm going to talk about Breeze and I'm going to talk about Tensoon. Breeze is a soother, so he is a misting, and if you want to know what mistings are, then do go and check out my favourite Magic Systems video where I do explain what a misting is. But in this context, basically, Breeze has the ability to affect the emotions of others, and he's incredibly good at it. He is very good at impersonating the lords and ladies of the High Court, but actually he is a Scar and he fits in really well there too. Although people find him irritating at first, he wiggles his way into people's hearts. He is intelligent and insightful and a really great friend. He likes to try and annoy people, but really he's helping them, and once they realise that, they find his advice really, really useful. I absolutely love Breeze and I do think he gets forgotten about sometimes. I really enjoyed his character. Tensoon is far more mysterious. He's very mysterious and brooding, and really I don't want to say too much more about him than that, but I really enjoy his character and the time that we spend with him is really great for understanding the world better. Next, I'm going to talk about Sierra and Dravian from Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks, which is the first book in the Dark Shores trilogy. Trilogy? Series? Not sure. Sierra is a dragon, and I mean, there isn't much more that she'd need to do to achieve my adoration, frankly, than be a dragon. But she is also a really typical dragon. She's very principled and she feels very powerful because she is, and she demands the respect that she deserves. She's also quite amusing on occasion, and once she has decided that she likes you and she's going to be on your side, she is a really fierce protector. Dravian is similar in a way. He is a soldier, he is head of the elite, and he's also very principled, very loyal, very clear idea of right and wrong, and once he's on your side, you have a fierce protector. But I really enjoy the fact that Dravian isn't led by what society tells him is right or wrong. He makes his decisions for himself. I suppose he has the privilege of doing that because he's head of the elite, but he follows his principles and he follows his morals, and he doesn't let other people or society dictate what he perceives as right and wrong. He decides that for himself, and that's something that I really admire and enjoy about him. Finally, we have another Brandon Sanderson character, and that is Nightblood from Warbreaker. And Nightblood is a sword, and he is hilarious. Hilarious. He has such a dry, sarcastic sense of humour, and really all he wants to do, I mean, he's a sword, all he wants to do is kill people, and everything comes back to that. Every situation is, can I kill people now? And it's just so fun and just honest, really, and I really enjoy any scene that he is in. The next book in this series, when it eventually happens, it's a standalone right now, but Brandon Sanderson has plans to extend our time in this world, and I'm pretty sure that book 2 is called Nightblood, and frankly I can't wait for that because he's a side character in this, but that makes it sound like he might be a main character in that book, which I can't wait for because I absolutely love him. I think he's hilarious. He adds to this book a little bit of levity in the more dire situations that he finds himself in, but he adds that levity in a way that has gravity, which sounds like it makes no sense at all, but trust me, it's great, and I really enjoy any time that we get to spend with Nightblood because he's just an incredibly amusing and engaging character. And that's it for my list of favourite side characters for now. If you have any side characters that you love that I haven't mentioned, I'd love to hear about them. Please do let me know. And if I've mentioned any characters that you dislike, let me know that too and tell me why. I'm interested. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks! Bye!